My name is Emily, and I've always had a fascination with caves. The subterranean world, shrouded in darkness and mystery, held an allure I couldn't resist. Little did I know that my curiosity would lead me to a horrifying encounter deep underground. I had heard whispers of a cave hidden in the remote hills, a cave that held secrets darker than the night itself. They said it was a place where no light had ever touched, a place where the boundaries of our world blurred with the unknown. One chilly autumn afternoon, armed with a flashlight and a sense of trepidation, I set out to find this enigmatic cave. The hike was arduous, the path overgrown and barely discernible. But I pressed on, driven by an insatiable curiosity. As I descended deeper into the hills, the air grew colder and an oppressive silence settled over the landscape. The entrance to the cave was concealed beneath a thick curtain of vines, a natural veil that seemed to warn trespassers to turn back. But I couldn't turn back now. I had come too far, and the cave beckoned me with a sinister allure. With trembling hands, I pushed aside the vines and entered the gaping maw of darkness. Inside, the air was thick with dampness, and the only sound was the echoing drip of water. My flashlight cut through the inky blackness, revealing the cave's jagged walls and uneven floor. As I ventured deeper, the cave seemed to come alive with a malevolent presence. Shadows danced at the edge of my vision, and strange, otherworldly whispers filled the air. It was as if the very rock walls held secrets that longed to be told. And then, as I rounded a corner, my flashlight revealed something that froze my blood. There, in the shadows, were the glowing eyes of creatures that should not exist. Creatures with twisted forms and razor-sharp claws. I stumbled backward in terror, my heart pounding in my chest. But the creatures were relentless, advancing with a predatory grace. They moved with a fluidity that defied nature, their eyes locked onto me with an unquenchable hunger. I knew then that I had ventured into a place that was not meant for the living, a place where the creatures from the depths of the earth had been awakened by my intrusion. My breath came in ragged gasps as I backed away from the advancing creatures. The dim beam of my flashlight trembled in my trembling hands, casting eerie shadows on the cave walls. Panic welled up inside me, threatening to consume all reason. The creatures moved closer, their eyes glowing like malevolent stars in the abyss. Their bodies, hunched and twisted, seemed to defy the laws of nature. I could see the glisten of sharp, jagged teeth as they hissed and chittered in a language that sent shivers down my spine. My mind raced, desperately searching for an escape. I couldn't retreat. They were blocking the way I had come. The only option was to press deeper into the cave, hoping to find another passage, another way out. As I moved further into the subterranean labyrinth, the cave seemed to close in around me. The walls became narrower, and the ceiling descended, forcing me to stoop low. The ground beneath my feet grew uneven, and I stumbled over jagged rocks and treacherous crevices. The creatures continued to follow, their movements becoming more frenzied. It was as if they were driving me deeper into their lair, deeper into the heart of darkness. Hours passed, or maybe it was days. I had lost all sense of time. The relentless pursuit of the creatures had left me exhausted, and my flashlight was running low on battery. The cave had become a nightmarish maze, its twisting passages leading me further into the unknown. Just when I thought I couldn't go on, I stumbled into a vast chamber, its dimensions impossible to fathom. The ceiling soared into the darkness above, and the ground dropped away into an abyss. Stalactites hung like jagged teeth, and the walls were covered in glistening phosphorescent moss that cast an eerie, greenish glow. I was not alone in the chamber. In the pale light, I could see more of the creatures, dozens of them, lurking in the shadows. Their eyes burned with hunger, and they moved closer, their forms undulating like serpents. I backed away, my heart pounding, my flashlight flickering. There was nowhere left to run, nowhere left to hide. The creatures closed in, their chittering and hissing growing louder, drowning out the sound of my frantic breaths. And then, in that moment of pure, unadulterated terror, I made a decision. I would not become prey to these abominations. I would not go down without a fight. With a scream of defiance, I hurled my fading flashlight into the midst of the creatures. The chamber erupted in a blinding burst of light, and the creatures recoiled, screeching in agony. I took my chance and bolted for the nearest passage, plunging into the darkness once more. The creatures pursued, their scuttling footsteps echoing in my ears. I ran through the twisting passages of the cave, my heart pounding and my breath ragged. The creatures were in pursuit, their grotesque forms never far behind. My flashlight had been sacrificed to create a momentary barrier, leaving me with nothing but the oppressive darkness. I stumbled blindly through the labyrinthine tunnels, my fear threatening to consume me. The cave seemed to stretch on endlessly, its depths an uncharted abyss of terror. I had no way of knowing whether I was moving closer to the surface or deeper into the subterranean nightmare. As I pressed on, my mind began to play tricks on me. Shadows danced at the edge of my vision, and strange, ghostly apparitions seemed to materialize from the inky blackness. Whispers echoed in my ears, taunting and maddening, as if the very cave itself were alive and malevolent. I had lost all sense of time, and my senses were in disarray. The cave seemed to shift and twist around me, its walls closing in like a vice. I couldn't tell whether I was moving up or down, left or right. I was trapped in a nightmarish maze, with no hope of escape. And then, as I rounded a corner, I stumbled upon a sight that froze the blood in my veins. The walls of the cave were adorned with human bones, their eerie, ghostly glow illuminating the chamber. Skulls leered out from the rock, their empty eye sockets staring into the abyss. The realization struck me with a sickening dread. I had stumbled upon the lair of the creatures, a place where they brought their victims to die. The bones were a testament to the horrors that had transpired in this forsaken place. As the creatures closed in, their hissing and chittering growing louder, I knew that I had reached the end of the line. There was no way out, no escape from the relentless pursuit. In a last, desperate act of defiance, I picked up a nearby bone and brandished it like a weapon. The creatures hesitated, their glowing eyes fixed on the makeshift weapon. It was a feeble defense, but it was all I had left. With a scream, I lunged at the nearest creature, striking it with the bone. It screeched in agony, its form writhing and contorting. The others hesitated, uncertain how to react. I took my chance and fled. I ran deeper into the cave, my footsteps echoing in the oppressive darkness. The creatures pursued, their screeches and hisses growing fainter, but I knew they would not give up so easily. They were a relentless force of nature, born from the bowels of the earth itself. The cave seemed to stretch on endlessly, its walls pressing in on me from all sides. The air grew colder and damper, and the oppressive weight of the rock above threatened to crush me. I was trapped in a suffocating abyss with no hope of escape. As I stumbled forward, I began to lose track of time. Days, maybe weeks, passed in the subterranean darkness. My mind unraveled, and I became haunted by visions and whispers that seemed to seep from the very rock itself. I saw the faces of those who had perished in the cave, their eyes wide with terror, their screams echoing in my ears. Their tormented spirits seemed to beckon me deeper into the abyss, as if they were trapped here, unable to move on. And then one fateful day, I reached a chamber unlike any other. It was vast and cavernous, with a ceiling that disappeared into the inky blackness above. The ground was strewn with bones, an eerie testament to the countless lives that had been claimed by the cave. But what drew my attention was a massive obsidian monolith that rose from the center of the chamber. It was ancient and alien, covered in strange, hieroglyphic markings that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. As I approached the monolith, a sensation of dread washed over me. It was as if the very stone itself were alive, as if it held the memories and malevolence of eons past. I couldn't tear my gaze away from it, couldn't resist the pull of its sinister allure. And then, in a moment of madness or desperation, I reached out and touched the monolith. It was as if I had made a connection with a force beyond comprehension, a force that had been waiting for me all along. The cave shook with a violent tremor, and the chamber was bathed in an eerie greenish light. Shadows danced and twisted, and the walls seemed to close in around me. The monolith pulsed with a malevolent energy, and I knew that I had awakened something ancient, something that should have remained dormant. In that final, horrifying moment, the cave claimed me as its own. I became a part of its dark, eternal embrace, a prisoner in a world of endless nightmares. The creatures that had pursued me were merely its guardians, its servants in a never-ending cycle of torment. My name is Emily, and I am lost to the abyss, a victim of a malevolence that defies understanding. The cave's secrets will remain buried in the darkness, waiting for the next unwitting soul to stumble upon its sinister embrace.